Today, Guam, Chris Barnett here, KUM News. Thanks for joining us as we roll out a whole bunch of new Facebook Live shows for you this week. The name of my show, and I'll be doing it every Tuesday, Group Chat. And really wanted to think outside the box and definitely outside the studio and get out here to Dededo. I'm going to be joined by Dededo Mayor Melissa Tavares and Nick Lee, who's the PIO for Guam EPA, and Glenn St. Nicholas, who's one of the field enforcers, one of the guys who goes out here, you know, boots on the ground every day, and really witnesses firsthand. I mean, all these stakeholders do. The terrors of illegal dumping, if you will. And, you know, we had Mayor Melissa Tavares take us out here to this site. And just look at this. Paradise Island, Guam. Coming at you live here. We're actually at a spot near the Ukadu pipeline. And this spot, according to Mayor Savar, is one of the most notorious illegal dumping sites. I mean, there's food waste. We've got furniture, you know, diapers. I mean, you need to see for yourself what's going on here. And illegal dumping, I mean, if you want my 2 cents on it, I feel like it's not rocket science. I don't know if we need to reinvent the wheel, but this is a problem that, you know, every election, you look at all the platforms, everyone wants to run their mouth about illegal dumping and how they want to make a difference. But, you know, at the end of the day, administration to administration, it comes down to the money. You know, no one wants to put the money where the trash is. And so let's get Mayor Tavares over here. And Mayor, just kind of give us a little history, if you would, about this dump site and a few others in your village, Mayor.
Oh, well, you know, this is just one of several dump sites that we have. Those individuals that don't want to pay for trash disposal. You know, with 5 maintenance workers, it's difficult to keep track of this on a daily basis. What we do is, of course, as you see, we don't have vehicles here because we remove whatever junk vehicles are here.
So people come and they abandon vehicles here too?
Yeah, sometimes they just abandon a vehicle, and we always check before we remove it. If it's a stolen vehicle, GPD usually, we clear it with GPD before that. We check a registered owner with the VIN number. The registered owner is no longer on Guam. And so that's when we actually take it out for disposal to a recycling facility. The white goods, which are the appliances, those are bulky items. We try to move that as soon as we can. In this particular area, we're working with NAVFAC as well on naval facilities because this is a jet fuel line, and a concern that they had in this area was somebody came and burned a pile of trash that was here, and we have jet fuels running about 6 feet below, and we don't want a severe accident to happen in this area. And so, you know, people do live on each side of these areas, but when they're at home, they can't keep track of who's out on the ground.
And it's not their job, I mean, side to side.
Right, and so it's going to take the entire community to get together. We're working with volunteers that will be coming out soon with Guam EPA and the Beautification Task Force and the Lieutenant Governor and his team.
Mayor, let me ask you this. So this is a GPA easement. You know, it's also NAVFAC. They've got the jet fuel pipeline running, 6 feet underground in here. You know, that being said, how come we don't have GPA and the military out here, or do they? Do they come out here and do they assist in cleaning up the property? Because it kind of seems like no one really wants to get involved. No one wants to, no pun intended, no one wants to get their hands dirty.
Not so much coming out to clean up. I know that the last time that the military actually came to clean up was when their contractor was actually out here putting the new jet fuel lines in. You know, I don't see any other government agencies that come out to clean the area. One thing that during coastal cleanup in September every year, the Ukudu High School students, instead of them going down to a beach area, because this is down the street from their school, they come and clean this area. But that's once a year. I think we need to be a little more aggressive. You know, we have small groups of people that want to do service learning or environmental stewardship, this is an area, there's a lot of stuff that can be recycled, plastic bottles, metal cans, but most part it's household stuff. You saw as we were walking in here, diapers, dirty diapers, where
They never throw away the clean diapers.
of course not, so I don't know what you want to do about DNA testing, Chris, but this is something that's definitely household stuff.
Yeah, so the people watching, people do come and they do the cleanups. It's a perennial problem. But what about those people watching who say, hey, no one wants to take responsibility? I mean, you're the mayor of Dededo. This is happening under your watch. How do you respond to that? I think it's a valid concern.
Well, of course, we're taking responsibility with five. Like I said, we only have 5 maintenance workers for the entire village. This is a large area. We do what we can with the little resources that we have. And we pay for the trash disposal when trash disposal is not free. We have an open purchase order with Mr. Rubbishman and with solid waste. And so when we go, our trailers are weighed and the trash is disposed. And, that comes out of our budget, the limited budget that we're equally divided with all villages.
Right. And this is a problem. I mean, we're here in Dededo, but, I'm pretty sure other mayors out there watching are probably like, hey, Chris, why aren't you in my village? I've got, 4, 5, 6 illegal dumps. I know Gigo is also notorious. And this dump, I mean, it's terrible, but it's not even the only one in Dededo.
That's correct. Isolated areas, people know where they're at. Sometimes when we do find names, because as gross as this is, we actually open bags and see if we can find names. And a lot of these people are not even from the village. When I find them in other villages, they say, prove that this is. I said, this is your name. They say, we don't even live there. Well, who threw your trash? So those are kind of things that we work with, is tell them, come and help us clean this up.
Right. And so, again, maybe this question, there's 2 ways in, in and out, right? So what about having a guard here, or, what more can we do? You talk about community involvement. I see the no dumping sign. What other ways can we get creative to kind of let people know that, hey, we're watching?
Well, barricaded if we can. I was talking to EPA earlier, and get some of those old concrete poles that have no use to put lines on now, and let's put it through. And the only access would be for emergency vehicles should there be a fire or something here. GPD and fire department, as well as the NAFEC, to get through their fuel lines and to make inspections and stuff.
And so you talk about the cleanups being done here. What we're looking at now, when was the last cleanup, and how long has this particular batch of trash been sitting here?
The last cleanup, the actual cleanup where everything was taken out of here, was during coastal cleanup in September. When we come through, of course, when my staff will see white goods, when we had the purchase order to remove white goods and appliances, we were taking that. We also just recently removed 3 trailer loads of appliances that were here about 2 weeks ago, only because this is what we're working on with NAVFAC, because they do want to barricade the area with either jersey barriers and a chain, or because when you have jet fuel lines that run through this area, the threat if the people burn, you see you have sofas, those are very flammable. That's something. So we removed, like I said, 3 trailer loads of white goods. We took out whatever vehicles were here, took it to the recycling centers, and we're in the process of working both with the Island Beautification, Mr. Flores, and the Lieutenant Governor, and Guam EPA to get several teams out here to tackle this area and remove it.
It seems like a simple solution. Putting up a barricade, and the reason why people dump here, obviously, is because you can come here. It's isolated. There are no street lights. They can come here with 2, 3 truckloads of trash, back up all the way in, and just take their time dumping stuff. So the barricade, you feel that? It's a simple solution. What do we have to do to get that to happen?
Well, first we can't barricade unless we clean up. And then, of course, working with our partners. Who has the material to do these things? Guam EPA mentioned earlier, get the poles from GPA. But, should there be an emergency, we do need access. I have a farmer and a church group that have private property on the other side of this area. They clean the area in front of them, but we need to do this collectively, and it's not just one organization to do it alone. It's all the resources in the community working together.
This is something that I was just going to mention. We see these DOC guards out there bush cutting in the purple shirts. I mean, they're doing a lot of beautification. Why can't we get a DOC, and what type of conversations do you need to have with the new leadership over there at DOC and get these, these inmates out here to, do something beneficial other than bush cutting?
Well, we have a meeting with the lieutenant governor this afternoon. Of course, the new leadership is they've been in a little over 30 days. So that's some discussion that we will be having with them shortly within the next few weeks.
And then we had another comment here. Mayor's too busy worrying about the Liberation Committee.
No, the Liberation is a very small percentage of what we do. They just call us, and we're not there just working on that. Liberation is very minimal compared to what we do on a daily basis.
I want to ask you and go back to the beginning of our conversation when you said people who don't want to pay for trash service. When we talk about illegal dumping, people always float this argument about, oh, well, ever since they started charging for a trash service, people can't afford it. We're creating this problem because, they don't have the money to do it. Is that a valid argument to you?
What we need to do, originally when they first started charging for trash, it was tied into a water service. But what happened was some residents had multiple water meters because they're ranching and they have multiple units, either rental or housing dwellings, and that were all under their name. And so what happened is some had to go in there and make some changes. And then I don't know why, and a lot of it is tenants. If you're a landlord, I think you should be responsible to have your tenant have a trash receptacle. A lot of the names that we're finding are people who are renting apartment units, and they're renting apartment units under Section 8. Section 8 has even they have a program where, your landlord or you are responsible for, this is a utility that you need to pay for. Or we will apply for the utility on our own. So, and then that makes sure that you have the service. But it's not always happening that way.
We also got a comment here. We get tired, we clean it, then the next day it's dirty again.
It happens here all the time. Same with our parks. We don't have dumpsters in our senior centers because it gets emptied. Not even 2 hours after, it's filled with the people, household trash that came from the neighborhood in most cases. Our tunkies that we have in our parks, we empty them every day. It's to the point our guys don't get hazardous waste; they get dead animals in these tunkies. So it's very careful. We have to, they're right. Yeah. We clean it today, in 2 days, maybe even not in 2 days. Within the next 12 hours, it's littered again.
Let me ask you, though, this is a lot of trash, and you guys, you say you routinely clean this up. Have you ever